don't want to know about you and your cheeks and what you work, bro.
Well, you the one that
I asked a
you
legit
pointed out
question.
the draw first.
Him love to work his cheeks.
I'd rather be dead than dead broke again. See these doors that's been opening. Notice a change just from focusing. I'm really starting to feel dope again. Look, rose till the sun come. Mama knows that a sunset. Let's vacate with the sun shining and see the cuties in a sundress. I'm convinced I make history, so I shouldn't let the little things get to me. I should see any presents as a gift to me. I expect everyone to move differently. That's a major key. Can't afford to act anxiously. Just remain the same patient me. Just kick it with my team. Champagne, live, laugh. So much that you spanking knee. See?
Left the hood, live in Hollywood. Never Hollywood, you can never take the hood out me. Pop us a bottle, I'm drowning my sorrows. Numb to the pain, we just pray for tomorrow. When they wanna talk, why they talking like we made it? Whole crew lifted and we still getting faded. Eyes low, baby, I can rest when I die. Cause I know my loved ones watching from the sky. Oh, rose till the sun come.
Rose till the sun come. Mama knows that a sunset.
Rose till the sun come.
Vacate with the sun shining and see the cuties in a sundress.
Final question about Nick Cannon. What should he do next now that he's gotten fired? Should he go completely independent? Should he side with Diddy on Revolt? Or should he just go do his own thing and build his own brand? Because the percentage he has into the Nickelodeon shows that he's done is not going anywhere. He's still going to get money off those shows, right? Even though they fired him.
So ideally,
doesn't matter.
Ideally, I think is 1A and 1B. For me, 1A is definitely independent. Do your own thing and start your own company. 1B is the Diddy Revolt thing, because I like the fact that if nothing else but perception that we can work together and become powerful. I like that as well.
I like the Diddy Revolt.
I like the Diddy Revolt thing, but I think if you can go and be independent, and then you and Diddy can work together as Revolt and Nick Cannon Network, whatever that is, then that's as powerful as it can be, because no matter the majority who owns all this stuff, they all work together. They all have companies that work together, whether it be you own RCA and I own Universal and he owns Sony. We all work together without a problem. And we need to show that we can do that too.
It's interesting because I was watching this bourbon documentary today, and it was specifically about Kentucky bourbon, because there's a couple of bourbon documentaries.
You ain't send me the link?
Mike Williams sent it to me from Stogies. I sent it to you. So in the documentary, I forgot what distillery it was that basically malfunctioned and they couldn't make any more bourbon, right? All of the other bourbon distilleries in Kentucky got together and started producing this distillery's bourbon for them for the next 4 years.
Which is something we don't do.
And these guys are overwhelmingly like, yeah, we might be competitors, but we are for each other. Like, we are definitely – I thought that shit was amazing, you know, that these guys were all like,
it's enough for us all
we want to make sure that
everybody's
they're still able to make money. They're still able to make their shit.
I think black celebrities are terrified of that idea.
Because we've been taught.
So weird.
It's weird, but has it happened?
Hold on. So this goes back once again to the slavery mentality that we've been taught to fight against each other because they know that if we got together, we'd be too powerful.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're amazed by it, not the fact that you acknowledged it, the fact that Jay, just you personally and us are amazed by that tells the mentality that we've been taught versus the mentality that exists.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That shit taught me. That one segment taught me a lot. And it's not like I didn't have that mentality. I have that mentality, but so many of us don't. It's like, fuck the fact that they're competitors. We're in the same industry. Let's big each other
because
up.
they know that even though you may be my competitor, the industry is bigger. And as long as the industry is thriving, we'll do this.
When the industry wins, we all win.
Right.
Well,
and look, I had this conversation with my wife. You know, we were talking about just different entrepreneurial ventures and business moves. And she's like, I've reached out to a couple of people who are in business that I would like to, get into. And, hey, she would ask me, hey, how did you get into this? What steps could I take? Even people who don't even live in the same state, in other black women.
Right.
And didn't want to help her. Like, nah, I can't, I can't help you. I'm going to ghost you.
Because we're scared that there's competition.
Yeah, and it's enough for us to go around.
I know.
It's
So,
enough money. It's enough for us
even
to
more
eat.
than it's enough for us to go around. If I help you become bigger, then I become bigger as well. So it's not just about us enough to go around. It's
But a
enough for us
lot
to
of
create
people
more.
don't want to see other people become bigger. I know celebrities. that
Even
would-
just not even
look,
talking about being big, just getting
but
in.
just getting in. I know celebrities that'll tell me, T, I love what you're doing. I love it. But I need you to have 100,000 more followers.
In order for me to support
In
it.
order for me to support. I watch everything you do. In fact, I
Bullshit.
copy a lot of your shit. I talk to you all the time, and you tell us what to say. But we need a certain threshold first.
What does that say about us that we absolutely have to be the man on the block and we can't
I
we
gotta
can't grow with our
I
brothers.
have
We
a
gotta
th- I have
step
a,
on our
I have a
brothers.
theory
say that
about
we ain't
that.
free.
I have a theory about that. I think competition amongst black men has always been something that we've had to have, and so we take the competition from the court, from the field, or wherever, and we're always in competition with each other. And so there's a time for competition, but there's a time to work together. When it's time to work together, we're still looking at competition. And that's what it'd be. It'd be competition. A lot of people say, well, you may be better than me at what we're doing. I'm not going to let you outshine me. But then they'll go sit with somebody else and let them outshine them, but they normally don't look like us. You can look at it. I could give you 1,000 examples, and you'll be surprised when you look at it. But when we talk about Nick Cannon, let's look at what it takes for him to build his own thing. So to build his own thing, that means it's not on YouTube, it's not on Facebook, it's not on any network television, because what's on? So to build his own thing, where does he start? We have to look at that. And then getting people over there.
The one thing about Nick Cannon, I will say, is the same thing that we have with this show. Content. The dude is a content creator.
Absolutely.
He makes content in his sleep.
But where does
He's
he put
built,
that content?
22 shows on
He's a beast.
on
He's a
no,
beast.
Nickelodeon
But where is
alone?
that content distributed? All of it.
Exactly.
So you would have to come up with a distribution base. If we wanted people to watch our show and we didn't put it on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, what would we do? Start a website? And
Right.
then what's the task after starting a website? Getting 1 million people over to it? Hell, we could barely get 5 people to watch a show.
Right.
Don't matter how deep the content
Speak
is.
for yourself.
I seen you, it'd be 3. So so no matter how the content is, and I was one of the 3.
At the time. At the time.
I know, then it went to 4, then to 0.
No.
Because I had something to do.
Look at the views. Look at the views at the end of the night. It'd be a whole lot more than
That
two.
don't mean nothing. Them are
I'm just playing, bro.
them are just run through. Somebody will look at it for a half a second and
counts.
get a view.
That's the
That's-
reason we don't watch. We don't listen to
Yeah.
August Alsina because it
that
counts as a-
shit don't
Yeah.
count. It goes off of
Me-
retention.
Me and
It-
Miles and Delvin have had the luxury of being in this Houston cigar culture for a long time, and you know, at the really beginning stages of the club, you know,
Right.
trend, you know, and we've watched it develop into something that's great, but we also watched it develop into something that's ugly.
Ugly. That's the word I was about to
And,
say.
Yeah.
and the ugliness comes from, well, they're here, they're doing this, they've been doing this,
Cliquish.
but let me go over here and do this, and let me shit on them while I'm trying to do my thing instead of working with them.
That's the thing. We have to figure out how to be able to work with each other.
Mentality's got to
and-
change,
and
bro.
not- look, I used to be. I was a foreman over a bunch of guys, and so when it would come time to hire, they come through and I talk to them, and this is something I've literally experienced. One guy come through, we paying him $20 an hour, right?
Right.
So he tell his cousin they hiring, go up there, talk to Tyrone, blah, blah, blah. So we sitting down talking about what he would want, and he was like, well, I just want 18 an hour. Now, he has more qualifications than his cousin, way more, better at his job, everything. And so, you know, I'm going to keep it 100 with him. I'm like, why you only want $18 an hour? That's where you're going to start?
Right.
He said, because my cousin told me that's the highest that you guys are paying. Now, I can't tell him, your cousin getting paid more than that. He lied to you. He's only telling you that because he don't want you to exceed what he's doing.
Right.
That happens all the time.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story, but I'll let Delvin make a point, and I'll tell you guys a story that happened to me before Cigar became Stogies. But go ahead, Delvin.
No, I was saying, it's back to that mentality thing you were talking about. We have to get out of that mentality that there's a finite amount of pie, and we're all fighting over it. The real game is we can make the pie bigger.
Just make another pie.
I'll make another
We
pie.
can make a bigger pie or make another one. There's a fixed amount of pie, and we all got to fight over it.
Right.
And it's Mad Max Thunderdome shit.
Yeah, Miles got a big ass oven. We could put some more pies
we
in
can
there.
go make pies
double
at
stack
Miles'
that
house.
bitch.
Yeah. That's where we got to get to. We can just make a bigger pie or make another
Right.
one.
I find it's interesting how other demographics and cultures always bond together, and when we do it, it's also looked at by the masses as
A problem.
militant. The word militant gets used or overused a lot when it comes to black people.
Our
whatever
emotions
gets
as black
used in
people
Asian
You
get,
know what? It's a
get
prime
diluted
example
fast.
is this, man.
Black people's emotions
Here's the
are
prime
diluted
example.
fast.
You know, I don't care what you think about this person's ability level. What LeBron James has shown people is how to own your own brand.
Absolutely.
How to demand what's happening. But
Facts.
so many of us get on him for the way he's done it.
Right.
The fact that he switched teams, the fact that he's owned his own stuff. And we're saying, no, man, that's not the way you do it. Because one,
I would
you do it
never
with
say
fans. I know not the four of us, but it happens all the time.
Oh, I've
Where
heard it a lot.
People are
Yeah.
like, yo, man, because one, either you're a fan, but two, the mentality is corporate America and the way America teaches us to be is the right way, and that we don't think about how we're going to change. My biggest problem, and this goes back even to voting, Kanye, whatever, my biggest problem with what goes on is that America is whether you're talking about politics or you're talking about corporations and owning businesses or you're talking about just mentalities, has been evolving for 400 years.
Absolutely.
Hence the reason that we have amendments to constitutions. Hence the reason that the way we do things have changed constantly over. We're at a point now everybody says that's not the way you do stuff. This is the way it's always been done. And that's the biggest lie we tell each other.
Right.
That's the only lie that we believe in to keep us where we are versus the fact that we gotta change things.
So look at this shit. I'm sitting in Cigar one day. I'm working from there. You know, we used to work from there all the time. I'm sitting there by myself in the bubble. This white guy comes in. He's got, shorts, boat shoes. He sits on the other side, and he's like, what's going on? I'm like, cool, man. How you doing? Introduced myself. He introduced himself. He asked me what I did. I told him what I did. I said, what do you do? He says, I own 900 mobile home parks.
900.
I said, I put my laptop down. I said, excuse me, did you say 90? He said, no, 900. I said, if you don't mind me asking, how do you get 900 mobile home parks? He said, well, I started with 50 grand, and I bought my first one, and I bought the land, built it out, and then created a loan company to supply the loans to the people getting the mobile homes. Self-sufficient unit, Wi-Fi, everything. I built on that, and I targeted rural areas throughout the country. I got mobile home parks from Louisiana, most of them in the Midwest, where it's rural, really rural. And he's got some in California in rural areas, but he gave me the whole game.
Did he tell you his seed money, how he got started?
His own money. 50 grand.
50 grand?
50 grand cash.
How many people got 50 grand cash?
That's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is it took him, I asked that question. I said, how long did it take you to build up that 50 grand? He said, it took me about 6 years to build up 50 grand liquid in order for me to do it. I used, I did, refinance on my home, and I was able to get some cash out on my home, and I was able to get 50 grand started. But I had a plan, and I knew what I wanted to do, him and his partner, right? Now, you would not know it. This dude drives an F-150, comes in there with bust-up shorts and boat shoes, and he's a fucking multimillionaire. And he's telling me how he got this and this. Now, that's a niche market, right? You wouldn't even think. I don't know anybody that's into mobile homes.
But you know what, though?
That's a really good example.
Terrain.
That shows a couple things. First thing, I'll say just on the surface level, that's the beauty of what we do with smoking, right? That's the beauty. I grew up as a golfer, and being at those golf courses, running those golf courses, you hear a lot of the same stories. And with us smoking now, you never know who you sit next to.
You just never know.
Until you open your mouth and talk. And we've all of us sitting in this room right now have ran across a similar story at some point in time. And we all have them. But the second beauty of that is we're the only ones that want to keep our mouth shut,
Right.
right?
You couldn't do that with a brother.
because
Well,
here's,
well,
not.
well,
well,
hold
I'm
on.
not gonna say totally, but I will
Yeah,
say
I wouldn't say
this.
totally.
I will say this. For the most part, we've never done it before, so we're scared to do it. And then also, that's part of black business is that we don't want to support black business because we make mistakes. But we make mistakes because we're new.
And we have to learn to trust each other. There's
That
a big thing.
Even
with
through your mistakes, I'm gonna
distrust.
ride with you, and we're
Right.
gonna work this out. You know what I'm saying? And then the one part that I'm willing to bet that he didn't tell you, and not that he wasn't purposely trying to keep it out, it just probably didn't come up, was he's around other people in his family, other friends that have owned other businesses. So they were able to
A
give him
roadmap.
gems.
True.
You know what I'm
True.
saying?
True.
We don't necessarily have that
Right.
in our community
Those
to say,
examples.
hey, how did you become a millionaire? I'll tell you a prime example. I have someone in my own family who's a millionaire off business, right? They started a company when I was an infant. So 40 years later, they're millionaires off of their own business. I asked the question when I was in my early 20s, how do you do it? And they wouldn't give me answers. This is my blood, bro.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This
Yeah.
is my
Yeah.
blood.
Because we
Because
got
they
that
don't-
game is to be sold,
Told,
not
not
to
told.
be told.
And then the last point I'm making, I'll give it to you guys, is the way that they see things. I have a cousin who played professional football for a long time, and I was at his house one day talking, and he said, we don't see where the money is made. We only see money is made in a pocket of industries. He said he pointed, the example he gave me, he had a plastic plant. He was like, how many people make money off that one plastic plant? He's like, I bought the plant from a company for $20. He's like, but somebody supplied the plastic, somebody supplied the color, somebody supplied this, somebody supplied that, and off of that, a bunch of people got paid for it. So you see $20, but a lot of pennies got issued out. So we gotta look at deeper levels to see those niche markets. We gotta see that, like, it's not just I own Ford. It's I might own the company that sells Ford a screw. I might
The
own
rubber for the tire.
the rubber for the tires.
Right.
Hell, I
Right.
might own the company that sells Michelin, the rubber that they make the tires with to go there.
We stamp the Michelin
Right.
on the tire.
So we got to understand, with a lot of kids I work with every day, I try to tell them, you got to see beyond what's in our face. Because there's, whether you want to be a rapper or not, there's a bunch of people getting paid off that album.
Right.
Whether it be the engineer, the producer, the guy
writers.
behind the scene, the writer, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people
Right.
that get paid behind that, and I think our mentality has to open up. And that's the information and knowledge that has purposely
That's the
been kept
beauty.
from
That's
us.
the beauty white people have of lineage and passing down wealth.
It's not just
Exactly.
white
It's
people.
lineage.
No, but
not just
but
white
it's
people.
overwhelmingly white
Of
people
course,
because
they run the
because
world.
they have the
and,
wealth.
and passing down knowledge. I have to not be afraid if you come to me and say, "Hey, Delvin, I see you're into, X, Y, and Z. I wouldn't mind getting into that too. What can you tell me about that? How'd you get started?" I have to be afraid to not say, "Well, hey, Jay, look, man, this is how I got into it. This is what I did right. This is what I did wrong." So you can
Right.
avoid those things. So you can get, so you can have a easier time in it. I have to be afraid to not share knowledge.
Right.
Right.
And that's what it really all comes
But
down
what
to.
we find in our community is everybody wants to be the man, but they don't really want to work for it. They don't really understand what goes on the back end.
Well,
You know
I
what
wouldn't
happens?
say just in our community. I say it might seem like that now, but look where we came from. We
Right.
look for
But
doing all the
I
work
give-
from people who didn't want to do
Right.
the work.
And I'll give you an example like this. We'll use basketball as a metaphor, right? If I get in the game and I ain't done no work,
Right.
I ain't put that work in, those 10,000 hours in,
You don't expect to be good.
but I hit that one shot.
Ah.
The one shot that won the game, everybody know what happened. I can't tell you.
right.
I ain't do the work. But I'll take the
glory.
fame, the
The
glory.
glory.
Yeah.
The glory.
In that shot,
Yeah.
that one game. And everybody's like, yo, how'd you hit that shot? I can't explain that to you because I don't have the confidence to explain it because I ain't did that work.
Right.
And a lot of times people just don't have the confidence in what
You
they've
think it's
done.
a conditioned mentality that every time, somebody watches a blueprint of something in our community and then they go and do it themselves, the inkling is to shit on the person that was doing it before
By
them?
far it is. It's a condition because
Yeah.
if I don't have the confidence in who I am because I ain't do the work, right? Let's say, Jay, you started a company, you did all that work, but I only see your results. So I want to do something to create the results. And I may take the shortcut to get it. And I may be very successful in the first 6 months. I don't know where the next level to go. You're not worried about me because you know what you already did, but you know where you're going next. I don't have that confidence level. So for me to compete or be on the same level, I got to keep you at my level. So
Right.
so I gotta shit on what you're doing So people won't take you to the next level. You'll come over with me and put.
Also, you got to shit on what I'm doing because you got to get more and more people on your team.
And then look,
That's what you feel you
I
got
to
to
take your client.
That
Yeah,
even
right.
goes bigger. It goes to big companies. Remember, you'd have a radio station shit on another radio station. They even came out with laws to where competitors just couldn't openly just shit on each other. Now, I think them laws got repealed not too long ago, but you would see like Burger King.
Why
shit
don't
on
those laws
McDonald's.
apply to politicians?
They should, but they don't. Like
Okay.
we saw. Remember the who had the chicken sandwich, the chicken sandwich mania, Popeyes.
Popeyes.
and
That
Chick-fil-A.
started by them shitting on Chick-fil-A.
Right.
You see what I mean? So competition.
Popeyes is much better, by the way.
Competition is a
Depends on
part
which one
of
you go to.
what keeps things going. But that's what I was talking about earlier. We
I'll tell
gotta
you, Champ was the
recognize.
first. What, about a year and a half before that shit actually happened? You were the first one to give me the Popeye sandwich.
Yeah, I got one from Jake. But we gotta recognize when competition is necessary and when working together is necessary. We also got to be able to get
I don't
credit.
think we have the luxury to be in competition with each other.
I don't think
We
so
don't
either.
wholeheartedly
Not-
anymore.
Not if
we
we
got
want to
so
see
much
each
race to
other.
make up for.
Not if we want to see. Not if we want to. Not if we want to see each other grow as a collective. If I want to grow individually, then fuck y'all. But if we're gonna grow collectively, I can't just say fuck y'all. But I think we also got to give credit where credit is due. Right now, we are smoking a cigar from a company
Black
that was
owned.
started.
We lost
Black
the light.
owned.
A company that was started
Black owned.
by a black man.
Black
And
owned.
This particular black
And
man,
a black woman. Don't let it.
Yeah,
Please don't let.
Oh, and let's make sure we get it out there
Uh-huh.
because there's a lot of people making cigars now,
Uh-huh.
and
These are really his.
they're not actually producing cigars.
But these are really his. He's not producing
These cigars
rappers.
are
He's
actually
producing
produced,
cigars. But
nurtured, and produced.
But
Done the
but I
research,
want to
done the
highlight
work.
this for a reason.
Caught a flight.
Because Spade Cigars
We'll say caught a flight.
Yeah.
came on the show and not only talked about his cigars, but talked about the business aspect. Talked about getting in the business, the ups, the downs, the things to look for, all the shit that people normally don't say. So when we see people like that are willing to give the game, now look, if I'm a chef, I might tell you, not tell you I put an extra 2 teaspoons of sugar to make my cake taste better, but I'm going to tell you how the business is ran. I'm going to tell you how to get in the game. You
Right.
see what I'm saying? So we got to acknowledge when we do have people that will do that. We have some, but we don't give them enough credit.
Yeah, we don't have enough people. Now.
And
We don't
also,
have
I'll say
enough.
this though: if you want to go to someone, this is black, white, brown, or yellow. You want to go to someone and want help. Do your work before you get there, so they know you're just not there BSing, because their time is valuable. And they
Yeah,
feel
bring
like
a business plan.
Yeah, or bring the research to it. If I go to Saron right now and say, Saron, I want to start a cigar, he's gonna be like, what kind of cigars you want to make? What you want to do?
Right.
And I have nothing, then that conversation is dead.
It makes no sense.
Right. So if I come to him and say, hey, I want to start a cigar, I want to create this, I want this blend, I want this type of tobacco, I want to distribute here, I want to do that. How do I get it going? Then we're gonna have a real conversation.
But check this out: the same person that'll come to a Cerrone without the data points, and then Cerrone's like, "Why are you here?" They'll
Wasting
go.
my
They'll
time,
go
bro.
and badmouth Cerrone.
And dirty mouthing.
They'll go and badmouth
that's what
Cerrone.
when
And say
they're
he ain't
not
help me.
ready. So this is the thing, like you're saying, if you're gonna come and you want advice, at least be ready for the advice. You can't waste people's time.
Right.
I always tell people this: if you want somebody to see something in you, be worth something.
Exactly.
Period. Point blank. We cannot forget that. We act like, well, some people act like people are just going to give them things just because, you know what, you look like me. And to an extent, yeah, we should do certain things, but you should do the due diligence to be ready for what you're asking for.
Right.
Because it's really
Period.
nobody's responsibility to just
Right.
give you something. Like Miles said, you got to do the work. If you make that jumper to win the game, but you done missed practice, you don't even know what play you ran. You
Right.
can't explain it. You got to do the
I'll give you a
work
prime
to
example.
be ready for that.
We got a bro sitting right here, Roy, my man. Roy is big in real estate. I didn't know that. I knew Roy for years. I didn't know what Roy did. I just knew Roy was never at work. And so, one day I asked him. I literally
Roy
said,
always at work.
right. I didn't know he was always working when he was never at work.
Every time
And
he look at his phone, he at work.
And so, literally one day I asked him at Stogie's, like sitting at Stogie's, man, what do you do? Like I just had to ask the question, like, what the hell do you do?
Like Tommy, I work down the street in the black building.
Right. And Roy was, he told me, I'm in real estate, I buy and flip houses, I do this, I do that. Bam. That's dope. I appreciate it. but I couldn't come with him business wise, right? Because I had nothing. I knew nothing. Now if I come back to Roy a month later and say, hey Roy, I've been looking at blah 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 this. I see this. I think this and this. Like, you know what I mean? I have X amount of dollars, or I'm trying to get X amount of dollars. He gonna tell me how to work it. And I truly believe that if that's the case. But if I just sit there and go, hey man, put me on.
Put me on.
He gonna be like, in what fashion?
Like, what do you mean?
Like, what do you want to do? And if you have an answer after, you don't have an answer after that one.
And then when
dead.
people say put me on, they want you to just like, well, here, I went to work and I earned this. You have it. Here, it's yours. Right. So if you're going to go to Roy, you're going to, if you say put me on, I'm going to say, well, look, this is how I could be of a value to you. This is how I could be of a value. Because once you're a value, I mean, we can't forget where we live. This is America. We still are ran by capitalism.
Period.
And so if I want Roy to bring me under his wing, it would be more advantageous if I showed him a value. If he looked and said, you know what, we could make some money. But if he look at me and say, he's just going to cost me money, I can't expect him to take me serious.
Even more than money, cost of money is fact. It's huge. It's number one. But number two, by far, you don't cost me time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and even on
money.
the front end too, just like I know you deal with a lot of young people.
Right.
We have to be willing to mentor
And
early when it
ask
really
Roy
can
to
make the
mentor me.
most difference.
No, I agree.
You're supposed to, like, targeting mentorship is important, but you got to target kids at that age. Because I was asked to be brought into a group to mentor kids in my hometown community, and the first thing I said was, I'm not talking to a 16-year-old killer, because I think they're gone.
I'll talk to a 16-year-old.
They're too
I
far
will,
gone.
because I say this. A lot of times it's about exposure. If all I know in my neighborhood is killers, I'm gonna be a killer most of the time. Not every time. That's not a 100% fact. But if I can show you something different, then I can start to think differently.
But is there a sweet spot in the age group that you want to mentor?
No, because I've seen grown men.
Whoever needed.
I've seen grown.
I know plenty of people that was
seen-
killers at 16.
We've seen grown
and
men
businessmen
change.
at 35, 40.
We've that what you said was a Biden.
That was the Biden
That's
quote.
what he said directly.
That 16-year-old that was a killer because you were a killer, and you could change them to say, hey,
I wasn't a killer, by the way.
I'm just saying.
Not on
Said
camera.
no
Look,
cases.
look. Hey,
Well, you know what?
let me
I
clear the
say this-
record.
I say this all the time. People change, and people,
To them to be like, hey, you know what?
you can do it this way.
Well,
Do it this way. You don't have to do it this way.
Right.
well, look.
I know what you're feeling because they have to realize nowadays our kids these ages have to realize we know what the fuck they're talking
It's
about,
exposure.
and we can feel.
I think exposure has a lot to do with it. I know people that once they were exposed and seen other sides of shit,
Change.
they start to change. Like I said, I can name you out the top of the head 10 people that was killers. And we don't all know killers. There's a difference between a killer and somebody that say they a killer. I can name you 10 killers that was killers at 16, 17, 22 that are businessmen now that you would never know they was killers. It's because somebody got to them and exposed them to other things.
Right.
Come with me. Let me show
There's
you
a
this.
guy, and I can't remember his name. I watched his TED talk. I watched he was a 2-time felon. He was a killer, 2-time felon.
Yeah.
And we got out of jail. The only job he can get was washing dishes. He now owns 3 restaurants in New York.
Wash the hell out them dishes.
But I'm saying though, but because of the fact that in his late 20s, he was exposed to something different. He went from washing dishes to becoming a sous chef to a chef to owning restaurants, right? And it's about exposure. There's another guy. He's in jail for life. I can't remember that guy's name. He does TED Talks all the time, and he makes millions of dollars from jail investing money, and he couldn't even read when he went to jail. But he sat next to an older guy and a Wall Street Journal and learned the stock market, right?
I know who you're talking
You know what I'm
about.
talking
And
about?
he was making money in prison before
He's
he even got out.
He's still in prison. They
He's
bring
still in
him
prison?
He's in prison life. But he's in prison. But they bring him out. He does his talks and stuff. But he's still a prisoner. He's still in jail. He's there for
How
life.
he get out to do talks?
They let him do it.
See what money do for you? I
Telling
know
you.
people that couldn't get out of prison to go to their mama's funeral.
I agree.
And they was in there for selling weed.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
He a murderer and could get
So-
out to do a TED talk.
So
Money is good, boy.
I won't say there's an age group where you give up on somebody. And why I say it's the Biden thing, and I know Delvin waiting to say what he got to say. What I said about your Biden thing is when Biden talked about when he talked about the 94 crime bill, his statement, and I'll send you the video, I'll find it and send it to you, was, hey, that
seen it.
that community has these people that are a problem, and it wasn't their fault. This is his statement.
He said we're gonna lock them up regardless.
He said we created that for them, but they're too far gone, and we got to get rid of them. And that's what he stands for. That's an issue, and that's why
even if we created it,
even if we created it, we don't rehabilitate them. We get rid of them, and we can't do that in our community because that same mentality that teaches those kids how to kill and not be caught, that same mentality teaches them how to hustle, is the same mentality they can become great business owners.
Well, segueing into the next thing, can you help the guy that's willing to shoot his girl in the foot?
Tory,
Oh shit.
Tory Lanez,
Yeah.
Napoleon.
Yeah, can we reform him? Can we help him get on the
Napoleon?
path? Yeah.
He should have been.
By the
there
way,
with
this space stick is burning my fingers, and I'm at the end, and it was phenomenal. It was
Yes.
it was fantastic.
Here's one thing I'd say about this thing. I'm not quite as far as I'm at the end. I'm at the bottom third. It was extremely consistent throughout. I didn't lose anything. I gained from it every time throughout the whole smoke. The draw stayed consistent. The taste was amazing all the way through.
Little black pepper,
Little pepper.
little pepper.
Not overwhelmingly.
Overwhelming pepper.
Little nutty.
Little pepper.
Yeah, so yeah, I definitely whatever he decides to name it, whatever he decides to wrap it, and I'm buying a new box. I ain't gonna lie to you. I have my favorite Spade cigars already that I buy. I know what they are. This is definitely in the mix too.
Yeah, my favorite is the white label, but this one, whatever its name, is probably gonna be my second one.
I
Actually,
like the white label
and the red lace. I like the white label and
red
the red
lace.
lace.
Like,
Red
The red
lace
lace.
is my shit.
The red, that red
lace
lace
is
is my
definitely one of
favorite.
my favorites.
I definitely.
but the white label is good too.
White label.
White
is
label
amazing.
is by far my favorite.
The black label is really good. It has a lot more pepper than the rest of them, if I'm not mistaken. But that white and that red lace is
Yeah, I
is
want a
fire.
box because I want the new box.
But
so.
this one is battling with my favorite,
Which
the
is
white
what the
label.
Is battling with the white
This
label.
is-
It's
Yeah.
battling with the white
No,
label.
it's definitely battling with the white
Yeah,
label.
this-
But I
this
think
is
with
up
those
there.
you can split them up, and I think I can smoke them throughout the week at different times and be perfectly happy with the moment.
Well,
You know
I
what I'm
could
saying?
smoke a Spade cigar and be happy regardless. I want to
Facts.
put that out there first, because just because you say something, we're competing with certain ones, don't mean that
No,
other sticks
agreed.
aren't great.
Agreed.
Because the whole line is actually
Amazing.
Very
upper
consistent.
And can I say this?
echelon
I know we're not
brand.
giving out shameless plugs and we're not giving out total. But for Spades, I was giving out shameless plug and some advertisement. Not just that, man. His wife's Queen of Spades line. I'm not a flavor smoker. I have smoked one before. That is. But I will say this: everybody I've given it to
Loved it.
Enjoyed it.
loves it.
Yeah.
Loves it. So if you're still which we got to get out of shaming people for being flavor smokers. You know what I'm saying? So whether
I think we do that shit too often.
we way too often because honestly we all started there, right? Before we
I
got to
didn't.
this point.
Yeah.
I did.
Maybe not total flavor,
didn't.
like you may not be a flavor. I
there's something for
started with
everybody, though.
infused though.
Yeah, I had a
definitely
little,
started
little,
with
little
infused.
Java, you know.
I started with acid and some infused. So
Little Java.
so we
Little Java.
we get there and man we need to
Yeah,
definitely
it's-
promote that all the way to the T.
Yeah, it's
You
great.
know who needs? But back to what you were saying, I think Tory Lanez should have had a space before he decided to pull a gun.
Hey man,
this
so
girl.
So
did he
so
really?
hold up,
He
let's
shot
break.
her in the foot.
Hold up, but let's break
Shot
down.
her in the
Let's
foot,
break
bro.
down the story first.
Like
right?
straight Delary style.
Oh, now you're gonna shoot me in my pinky toe.
I'm not playing with you. I will blow that little black, gnarled, crusty, dead motherfucker the fuck off your foot. Now put the razor away.
You must be crazy to pull your gun on me.
You gonna be the nine-toe having this limping this bitch in Harlem. You don't stop fucking with me. Now put the razor away.
Well, go ahead. Shoot, here it is. There it is. Shoot, quick, go ahead. Take your best shot.
Bro.
Let's break down the story first.
Straight Harlem Night style.
Like
Shout out
quit.
to-
The story,
Trying to
the
hit that
story
pinky toe.
goes like this.
All right.
They're leaving a party in Hollywood Hills, in the chauffeured SUV. They get into an argument. She exits the vehicle, and her friend is exiting the vehicle as well. They're like, fuck this. Now, I had no idea that Tory Lanez and Megan were remotely an item, but
I knew that they were an item.
That's why you don't date short dudes.
But they were an item.
Napoleon
And
complex.
obviously,
Terrible.
He said something that pissed her
He's not
off.
that short, bro. He like 5'3". That's a different level of
He
short.
said something that pissed her off, and we know people that been in a position where your girl exited the vehicle and she just want to walk.
Yeah.
So in his situation, he was like, he was curved. He felt slighted. He felt embarrassed. So what he thought in his mind was to pull out a gun and shoot at the ground and hit her in the foot twice.
Now, did he mean to shoot her in the foot, or was it because she wears size 12?
Hey,
She not that big, bro. That stallion thing is overdrawn. She's not that big.
It's not that. It's not
She's
that
like
big.
5'9" and a half, bro.
it
It ain't
goes
like she
back
like
to the
6'5".
whole emo thug R&B cat wanna be hard, story that started with Chris Brown and Rihanna, and now is going into this new generation of R&B cats that they just want to be hard. They want to straddle the line between rap and R&B.
That's the
No,
image
you know
they
what I think
that
even more
they-
so than
Between
that
rap and
is
domestic violence.
was
Chris Brown dad is a gangster though.
but
a real gangster.
But before we get to that level, I think before we talk about man and woman, I think now these effeminized guys get their respect from a gun versus handling your business. If you handle your business growing up, the gun is the last resort. And this is becoming a first resort. And we promoted this, like I say, we promoted it through our music, promoted it through our TV, promoted it through a lot of ways where we think the first resort is the gun. And that's an issue. That's not a man-woman issue. That's an issue,
Well, it's
period.
because nobody want to catch hands.
Well, hold on.
Well, you don't put
Well,
they-
hold on.
They may want to catch hands, but they don't want to lose, and they
They
can't
don't
handle
want to
losing.
lose.
Yeah.
But the whole thing though about the cats like moving the guns now, I remember cats getting shot in the '80s at dice games. Guns has been a way that people don't want to get out. They gonna pull out guns. So Tory Lanez doing it is, to me, it's not new. What I think what he's doing though is cats don't know how to take rejection, bro.
That's
And I
a
think
whole
that's what a big
One,
problem
take
is.
rejection. Two, don't know how to socially handle themselves in a difficult situation.
Right.
We don't know how to talk our way through a situation.
Yeah,
Communicate.
I've had, how many of us have
you
had
had
a
no
girl
stu-
jump out of a vehicle? I know I have, right? And
I'm gonna hit the gas.
You know what I'm saying? Like I had
I've had it before.
Yeah,
I've had it before. I had a girl jump out of a vehicle and hit me, like literally hit me. And then when I tried to grab her to put her back in the car, they called the cops on me. But I knew how to talk my way out of the situation. We both got there before the cops showed up. But you got to know how to be able to talk and how to handle yourself socially.
Yeah,
Many
and-
people don't.
And
You
it's a lot-
gotta
like,
be
there's
able
a
to
lot
get
of-
dumped. If she don't want to mess
That
with
too.
you, she don't want to mess
Yeah.
with you, Playboy.
Well, and it's what you were talking about.
There's
Like,
always
guys, they
another one
don't-
around the corner.
Not
If you
only are
Tory,
they,
it's 100 of them
Yeah.
right in front of you.
and a lot of these guys, not only are they emotional, they don't have any people skills.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
No
You know-
social people skills.
And you can't take rejection on top of that. I mean, you're a rapper, you're well known. Why are you worried about whether or not Megan Thee Stallion, one woman, you let her get under your skin that much to like
And one chick, you
like-
do number 3 this year.
yeah, to
And
where
Tory-
to the point where you know what, me pulling out a gun and shooting at her foot, that seemed like a reasonable reaction.
I'm gonna shoot your pinky toe off.
You let her get that much under your skin. I'm like, that's on you, man.
That is, it is. When you look at it in
And-
hindsight, you're gonna pay the consequence. So
Yeah.
who is this on?
And so that's to my next question: is his career over?
No.
No,
No.
I mean, because you
I see women bashing Megan Thee Stallion for it.
for what?
That's just how it is.
Here's the thing. You can't. What?
That's how it is.
here's the deal.
It's not over.
But here's the deal, though, with this generation is women are going to be emotional, bro. This is going to happen. You can't battle emotion with emotion.
And they're
But-
gonna
but you
and
know,
they're gonna
here's
be
the
more
thing.
empowered now.
But here-
So now they like, you know what? I got these rights. I got this movement. I got this time. So I'm a woman. Hear me roar. And as a man, there's certain shit you just got to deal with. So if your girl or whoever you messing with, you digging, like I say, she like I'm not feeling you. You got to be able to take that because it's going to happen increasingly. You gonna get curved, no matter who you are. Somebody
happen.
will curve you.
Somebody gonna curve you.
Yeah, and that's okay. You have to be able to process that and move on. When you don't see yourself as the prize, then you're gonna be butthurt by every woman that don't want you.
Yeah.
As opposed to saying, you know what, this woman don't want to deal with me for whatever reason. You know what, sis, have a blessed day.
And
because
Tory
I'm hot in the
Lanez,
streets.
and this the thing about Tory Lanez that give me, Tory Lanez, yeah, and Tory,
Yeah.
For me, I was raised by sons to say, hey, you are a top commodity. You are a black guy. You are a breadwinner. Bottom line is, you're a top commodity. Bottom line, don't settle for shit.
look,
If they don't want you, fuck it. It
this
is what it is.
It is what it is.
This what my dad told me growing up. I had to be like 8 years old. No, I was older than that. Let me not do that. I was old enough to to have some hair under my arms. And Pops was like, "Hey man, don't get it confused. Dick has got the same value as pussy.
Facts.
Dick got the same value as pussy. And so once you start to realize that, why I'm gonna shoot your toe off? I'm not gonna Delarice you. I'm worth just as much as you. Tory Lanez, isn't Tory Lanez notorious for going on Instagram, having Instagram models all around the country on there clapping it, doing things that I love to see.
Right.
So it's not like he have a problem getting women. He got
It's
a
like I
problem
said, it's
with
the fact-
rejection,
with
in my
rejection.
estimation. That's what it seemed like. And then when you get cats on that level, they don't get rejected a lot. Not only by women, but they have people in their crew that don't tell them when they wrong.
You
Right.
got a
They
bunch of your
people in
bottom,
their
or
crew.
you're around a bunch of yes men.
They
Yeah.
are coddled like no other. And so if you ain't got nobody there, if you don't got a pops there to tell you dick is worth the same as pussy, boy, what you tripping off of? Go find you some more. If you don't got nobody in your corner that's willing to lose you as a friend for a second to tell you the truth, you're going to be in a bad place. And these people they in a bad place. Nobody want to stand in front of them and potentially maybe lose a friendship over saving them from misery.
Right.
They let them go do it because they still want to be on the tour bus. They
Yeah,
still
you
want
wanna
to
be on the
part
tour
of the
bus.
entourage. I got people that I know they're famous. I say, man, that's stupid. Whether you get mad at me or not, because I look at it, a measure of a real friend is being honest with each
And
other.
the funny thing about we talking about Tory Lanez. The funny thing about Tory Lanez is I've seen 3 interviews from 3 different artists, and his name comes up, and they're all like, "Bitch ass nigga." Everybody. The last one was Freddie Gibbs. His name came up in Freddie Gibbs' interview. He was like, "Bitch ass nigga." Well, it's Tory Lanez, that's why. So it's kind of like he's already known throughout the industry for being this weak ass character.
That's how Bill was known for knocking women out before he put him into the story.
Harvey
He
Weinstein.
gave it to him.
Weinstein.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what it is. It's a hyper feminine, hypersensitive,
Hyper emotional.
all of those are hyper emotional.
Yeah.
Don't know how to deal with rejection, and Megan lost her toe or a foot
And
or
look,
some
and look, a lot of
fragment.
these guys say, you know what? I want to be able to show my emotions. I have emotions too. Well, you don't get to show your fucking emotions like a woman does. It may not be fair, but that's what the
There's
fuck
a
it is.
different way to
It-
show your
it's-
emotions.
But
it's
shooting
different.
somebody
You
or
don't-
firing a gun's that's just dumb.
Yeah,
That's dumb.
Right.
That's dumb.
There's different ways to show your emotions. as a
you
guy.
don't get to process your anger the same way as your little sister do. That's just the way it fucking is. You
Yeah,
talk to
yeah.
Jesus about that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and
You
maturity.
don't get that.
Maturity has to set in somewhere. But let me ask you guys this as a curveball: do you think Megan Thee Stallion, seeing that he was a weenie prior to this,
I don't think she did.
you don't think you
so?
think
I don't
you
think
think
she-
this is a surprise?
I think it is a surprise, and that's one of the reasons why that we have to come up with something. And me and Delvin been talking about this a lot. It's like we got to come up with a rule book for women to identify. We
And
talked
vet.
about
If you
this.
see bitch
We
ass,
talked about
just
this on
move
the
around.
soapbox. We talked about this on the soapbox. We got to come up with something. We got to come up with a rule book to show women how to identify these characteristics early in men before they get to the point where they're dead.
Listen
Yeah,
to the
because a lot-
interviews where everybody calling him a
just-
weenie.
Because just
Hold
as
on.
he got shot, she got
Because-
shot in
But
the
I'll
foot.
say this,
She
though.
could have very well been shot in the head.
But we gotta understand, as mostly women, guys do this too. We do it too. I'll say this too. We get passes on red flags when we want to be in a relationship, and a lot of women do that when they want to be in a relationship. And so those little bitty red flags, they get passes on. And sometimes you don't know nobody's crazy, and some crazy shit happens. And you know what I'm saying? That's what it takes. And unfortunately,
No, because a lot of times I've seen it. Because
Exactly.
I've seen women they'll be with a guy for years, and then when they finally break up, they'll be like, "Oh, I didn't know he was like this. I didn't know he was crazy." I'm like, I talked to the nigga for like 15 minutes. I
And
can
knew
tell
he
he
was
was crazy.
crazy. And that's what I'm saying. Tory Lanez, far as his reputation,
I talked.
that's his reputation, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah,
so
I'm like, I talked to him for.
Right.
I'm like,
So
I
this-
talked to him for 15 minutes. I could tell he was a few fries short of a Happy
This
Meal.
my thing. He in the car
Speaking
with
of
the
Happy
pistol.
Meal, I'm hungry.
You already. I mean, to me, I don't know them and I don't know their situation, but just based on prior situations, I know a lot of women that will see the signs and act like they don't see the signs.
Right.
Yeah.
Until they
Right.
shot in the foot.
Right.
Now I
Right.
see this. Oh, we unprotected. Well, you
Yeah.
should have protected yourself and left that motherfucker.
I mean,
Right.
I'm sure we've all known females personally that like I didn't know he was like that. Shit, I knew it.
Everybody else knew.
I
You
talked to
didn't
him
wanna know.
I talked to him for 10
Oh,
minutes. I knew he was
we
straight.
all know them. We all know the same females. that,
Yeah.
that deal with we know them.
But they know.
You know.
It's a difference between knowing and wanting to realize it. They
Right,
don't want to
right,
realize
yeah.
it
right.
sometimes. Some
But
people
also-
don't want to realize
also,
it.
Also
Yeah.
says all the time, women date on tangibles. Women all have a list of things they want in a guy when they meet him. And sometimes that guy displays all that stuff, whether it be fly and money and all that stuff they have. That's what they're looking at before they get to the real stuff. And then they're like, oh, because it's a pattern.
Right.
We've all know women, and we know women in our circle that go from the same type of guy, and it never works out, and you wonder why. It's because
that's what you present yourself with.
Right. What you want from the jump is an issue.
Isn't good for you.
Yeah.
Look,
Right.
I could give you another antidote, and I've seen this. I know somebody mess around, shot somebody else, killed him, right? Mama, not my baby. My baby would never do that. You know your son been gangbanging since 11 years old. You know this ain't the first person your son shot.
You've been building him out of situations his whole life.
But now that he's caught, you run outside. My son would never do that. Everybody in the neighborhood know your son a killer.
Yeah.
You know your son a killer.
And how many
but you
times-
don't want to acknowledge that because
What-
you
what
don't
is
want
it,
to
He'll do this, but he won't go that
not
far.
my baby. Yes, bitch, your
Not
baby.
my baby. And she's hiding a gun under her bed.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's just being able to acknowledge what's in front of you. Just like Tory Lanez got to acknowledge, hey, man, I got dumped. Let me not shoot her in the
Yeah.
foot.
I know they got the red table talk. We might have to do our red flag talk.
The red flag talk.
That
But,
might
hey,
be
you-
a good fucking idea.
Hey, you guys, look, I think that was a good conversation right there.
Yeah.
I think we covered it. What you think? What you think? Did we cover the bitch assness?
I think we covered it all, and I'm actually ready to go to in my expert opinion.
I'm ready.
Yeah,
for
I'm
the
ready too
expert
because
opinion.
we've had our sticks, we've had our ton of shit talk. So let's go.
Well, you know, a lot of what we talked about tonight at Sticks and Shit Talk is the inequality of opportunity, inequality of upbringing and outcomes. And you know what? Those are real issues. But what we also have to keep in mind is there's another big inequality that doesn't get talked about a lot, and that is the inequality of beauty. Now, if we're going to deal with the inequality of color, white privilege, wealth privilege, then what about beauty privilege? Because we all know attractive people have a lot more opportunities, they have a lot easier time in life than ugly people. We all know this. So if we're gonna deal with privilege, let's deal with beauty privilege. Now we need beauty legislation. Now, what does that look like? Beauty legislation, we have to level the playing field for people that are not beautiful. So we have to have a Congress or a government commission to come out and put together a panel to identify the ugly so we can help them. So they can get better jobs, better opportunities, get into better fields, so that they can compete with the beautiful, so they can have an easier time in life. And I'm being tongue-in-cheek with all this to say, you know what? There are people who have advantages and who have privileges that you don't have, but you also have advantages and privileges that they don't have. And that's what you have to maximize in your life. Don't focus on what somebody else, some privilege that they have, somebody that's taller than you, faster than you. You have abilities and gifts that they don't have. So grow those, focus on those, and there's no amount of legislation or there's no amount of government support that's going to change. Make the most of. And I just lost my light. But that's okay. That is light privilege, and now I don't have it, so I have to work around that. So beauty legislation is just a metaphor to say, you know what? People have advantages and privileges in life. We all do. So focus on yours and don't focus on the next guy's, and life will be a lot better for you. And you only got one life, so make it a good one.
Be dead, then dead broke again. See these doors that's been opening. Notice a change just from focusing. I'm really starting to feel dope again. Look, rose till the sun come. Mama knows that a sunset. Let's vacate where the sun shining and see the cuties in a sundress. I'm convinced I make history, so I shouldn't let the little things get to me. I should see any presents as a gift to me.
No, in the history of side niggering, has anybody ever dropped a diss track?
That's a major key. Can't afford to act anxiously. Just remain the same patient me. Just kick it with my team. Champagne, live, laugh. So much that you spanking knee. See?
Left the hood, live in Hollywood. Never Hollywood, you can never take the hood out me. Pop us a bottle, I'm drowning my sorrows. Numb to the pain, we just pray for tomorrow. When they wanna talk, why they talking like we made it? Whole crew lifted and we still getting faded. Eyes low, baby, I can rest when I die. Cause I know my loved ones watching from the sky. Oh, rose till the sun come.
Rose till the sun come. Mama knows that a sunset.
Oh, rose till the sun come.
Vacate where the sun shining and see the cuties in a sundress.